like to call to order the Monday, February 3rd meeting of the City of Monona Finance and Personnel Committee. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder DePula?
Here.
Alder Wood?
Here.
Mayor O'Connor?
Here. Let's see, there are no minutes to approve tonight. There are no appearances that I know of. No unfinished business. Under new business, consideration of ordinance 2-25-789, authorizing the community service officer to issue citations. Neil, is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve. Second.
Neil, do you want to
Yep.
take this one?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Essentially, this improvement, the primary driver behind this is to allow the community service officer who's currently issuing warnings, particularly over by the school district, actually just basically placing warnings on windshields. This will essentially allow that person to actually issue a citation, which I think has been kind of an enforcement concern for quite a while.
For
So-
parking violations.
For parking violations specifically, obviously, this is any place in town, not just by the high school, but for any areas that they're doing that. Certainly, this individual has already been involved certainly in the high school area, doing, like I said, issuing warnings and so forth. So the various amendments that are proposed essentially go a little wider than just parking citations, and actually open up the possibility for others as needed by other departments. But the primary driver behind this is specifically really to help them be authorized to write parking tickets.
Any questions?
Just one follow-up. We did put in the 2025 budget, we did put added money in there for him, so there's no budget amendment needed for his salary.
Okay. Doug,
Thank
did
you,
you have
Mark.
something?
Yeah, I just, are they gonna get any additional training? To go along with the duties?
That's certainly at the discretion of the chief, Alder, I would say. At this point, I don't believe the current individual who's going to be filling this position would be required to do that. I think at this point, he's
I
worked.
can answer that question.
Oh, okay, certainly.
As Chair of Public Safety, we've discussed it. I know the chief there is a training process, not exactly sure exactly what it entails, but familiarity of the ordinances and then, procedures involved with
Right.
certain things that he needs to call PD for, et cetera. So I know that was discussed and that there was some training discussed, yes.
Okay.
And I do certainly think that probably would involve some conversation also with the city attorney who would be prosecuting these, making
Right.
sure that he has the
Yeah.
information required to follow through on those.
Right.
And he's actually been issuing these warnings for about a year now, isn't it? Didn't it start last January?
I believe so, yeah.
I think. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consideration of resolution number 25-2-2773, approving an agreement for professional engineering services for well 4 design. Is there a motion to approve this one?
Move to approve.
Second.
Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. In the packet that you received, there should be the draft agreement for well 4 design from Veerbecker. We do have funding approved in the 2025 capital budget for this contract, $148,000. And the agreement details 8 task orders or scope for the work that's going to be done. If you could look at the schedule, I believe it's page 9 of 11. The schedule really details the work that Veerbecker is going to do. The bulk of the work that's for this agreement is going to take place in 2026, with only a few items for 2024 or 2025. The construction management services that we're going to ask Veerbecker to do as well is not part of this design agreement. That'll be a separate agreement that we'll have with them once we get budgeted funds for the 2026 capital budget. This is just for design only and a few of the other items that are detailed in the scope of services. Is there any questions?
Doug?
Does it include bid, preparing the bid documents?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
And then obviously, if we're not going to move forward with City Hall expansion for any particular reason, then we don't need to do this, right? Or is the
That's
well
up
coming-
to you all.
Okay.
It is our city's first well. It's our
Okay,
shallowest well. It has the poorest characteristics, but it still meets EPA standards. My recommendation would be to keep proceeding with well 4.
Okay, gotcha. This was the well that's coming towards the end of its life, right?
Well, you could say that. I mean, there's rehabilitations that can be done, but it's a shallow well.
Okay.
It's our shallowest well. Your deeper wells tend to produce the better quality water.
Okay.
But this has been the well 4 site location since the early 2000s. And I think as long as we have done the site investigation and renewed the activity with the DNR, I think we should keep proceeding and get this well ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Doug?
I was just going to say that even if we, paused or delayed the building, a new building across the street, that well house where it is really right smack in the middle of, it really makes it a much more challenging
Right.
piece of land to build around. And whether it's done in 2 years or 5 years or 10, that's still going to be the case.
Right. I mean, I guess the goal would be to have the well situation all figured out and completed when the time comes for city council to proceed with a new city hall. I mean, it'd be nice to have all that out of the way.
Right.
Because it's going to be a few years before this is actually
Correct.
constructed, right?
Yep.
Any
And
other
plus with abandoning well 1 and taking that offline, taking care of the paperwork with the state, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwood.
Aye.
Alder DeVore.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Next, item C, consideration of resolution number 25-2-2774, amending the 2025 capital budget for construction of a cold storage building at Ahuska Park. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to, okay. Second.
Either way.
Okay, and this is something that has been proposed as part of the capital budget and approved by the Parks Department for the last few years, or by the Parks Committee. But it just, with our money limitations, I pulled it out every year. I really think it is needed. It's ridiculous. We have equipment sitting out all year round, and we need space for the ice rink, and Steve Dorn is providing us storage for that now, but that's not going to last forever. Anyway, since I pulled it out and we passed the capital budget, we received parkland impact fee, the park impact fees from a couple of our new developments where we didn't have any of that money before, so I decided I'd like to just move ahead with this and get it done. Jake?
Thank you, Mayor. Our department has a lot of equipment and supplies that are stored at various places throughout the city, as Alderwood and DePula serve on the Parks Board, so they're quite familiar with it. And this proposal has been ranked as our #1 project the last 2 years at Parks Board. It would be in a location between the Veterans Memorial and the baseball field. This would also need Plan Commission approval after talking to our city planner. The budgeted number includes a topographic survey of the park, conceptual design, plans, and getting us to a bid and a probable cost of what construction costs would be for a new path to this cold storage facility. As the mayor alluded to, our ice rink equipment is the largest chunk of what we have, but we also have trailers, different type of vehicles that have off-site or off-season storage, attachments for landscaping, et cetera. So it'll be well utilized and filled and consolidate, which will increase the efficiency of the department. We did discuss at Parks Board kind of what approach we'd like to take using parkland dedication fees and whether kind of pushing our chips all in on one project to the next project or spacing it out. And we didn't really have a great, there wasn't really consensus one way or the other because I think we have a few other projects that potentially may or may not happen depending on what future funding looks like. So I'm comfortable using that for this project because I feel like it's one of the biggest needs we have as a department.
Neil, did you want to then make
Just
those
a quick
questions?
comment and conversation with Director Anderson, also pointing out certainly the uncertainty of federal funding and maybe even other possible grant funds going forward for other sorts of projects in the future is certainly up in the air. So in terms of, holding on to to these funds short term, without knowing if there's going to be available matching funds to try to leverage against, certainly is kind of another, certainly, I guess, a reason to consider using the funds and an all-in, as Director Anderson said, on this particular project would be just another consideration, so.
Patrick?
I think he kind of answered my question, so, with his comments.
Doug?
Two things. One, how would this impact our need to use the storage at San Damiano?
Good question. We'd be able to vacate the garage of all of our equipment and supplies at San Damiano, so that would also free up any potential construction phase project or use by the Friends of.
I think the Friends, for instance, are planning on buying a stage that they need a place to, which I know you'll be
Yeah.
happy to hear.
They're already using a fair amount of the garage for storage of
Yeah.
supplies.
Okay. But at least they'd have a place to keep a stage
Correct.
too, which takes up
Correct.
a fair amount of room, so.
Okay. And the second thing is, in terms of timing, is this, when we take it up at council, is it something that would, is there any reason to take it out of order and get it approved, or
Yeah, that'd be great.
besides that, do you have a reason though? Why,
Well, if we're entertaining the idea of trying to construct in this calendar year, then yes, because there's some timing involved with, our engineer and design service and where they can get it in the queue and then bid cycle and, it's gonna take usually a couple months for design work and, construction cost availability, and then another 3 weeks for bid, there's a
Right.
timeline where
Yeah.
this may fall in decent for like a fall construction cycle. So you get through like the busy summer construction
So-
cycle and they can pound it out. And if you're ordering a kit, a building kit, that's
Right.
gonna take, 8 to 12 weeks to build, maybe more. That was something when we fleshed out the design cycle and looking into it.
You think it could possibly be done this year?
Anything's possible, so yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, it's just gonna depend on the consultants and if they can hammer out the design phase and then plan commission requirements or not requirements that may impact the budget, so.
have you submitted anything to plan yet? or are
No,
you
because
waiting?
we'll need to get the concept plan. I think we've talked about it
Okay,
at a staff level, about what potential options we can have from not driving up the cost significantly high for aesthetics, but, so we'll work on that.
okay. Do you need it approved before you would submit to the plan commission? Need it approved by,
Yeah, because we would enter into a design contract.
okay.
And
So that's
then they would
another-
be submitting those project,
Okay.
the plans.
So basically, saving 2 weeks on the front end could be pretty important when you get to October, November.
I would think so. I mean, yeah, sure,
Okay.
yes.
But we'll see.
Foundations would be the most important thing, obviously, being able to pour those. I think the structure itself probably could be built most all weather conditions, but the foundation itself would be the important part.
Yeah.
Right.
Patrick is.
Patrick?
Not that it probably matters because it's gonna end up coming from the same place anyway, but I guess we could, the money that we are projected, if approved, to bring in from the billboard could go to offset the $50,000 from the fund balance for this, from that first year, probably, so it's a,
It'd be up to the council.
It'd be capital money, so it's a little two different types
Okay.
of fund balances. These are just from
Uh,
basic excess projects that are basically completed, that's what these are. So savings from that, so that's what's capital fund balance. We would use those, again, if there's like a little overrun or something like that with another project.
Oh, right, so there's not general fund
No.
surplus?
okay.
No, yeah, it's
Just
just,
unused capital, okay.
Mhm.
so it's borrowed money that needs to be spent.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder DeCool?
Aye.
Alder Wood?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, acceptance of general, thanks, Jake. Acceptance of general fund accounts payable checks dated January 17th to the 30th, 2025. Documentation of invoices paid is available in the city clerk's office. Mark.
Yeah, it's not a lot of activity in the last 2 weeks, but just page 32, capital underground, water main break repairs, just, 3,500. Sometimes it's equipment, sometimes it's the crew, so little things like that add up. Page 33, Madison truck equipment, mechanic lift, which was part of the 2025 capital. Underneath that, you see a Midwest meter for $4,000. We own the meters, so we don't charge a balloon, but that's the type of meter, that's the cost of a meter that a balloon puts in. So it's a pretty big meter going in there, because usually they're less than $1,000 for meters. So that's one large meter needed. Page 37, Amazon. Again, we have the 2 credit card systems with Amazon and Lake Ridge Bank. You can see there this the accounts that it hits. Really have anything else marked? That's all I have.
Questions, anybody? Yes.
Quick
Patrick?
question. I just noticed the substantial tax overpayment for an individual that would be,
For real estate.
yeah, is that,
So what usually happens like that, there's 2 things that happen, or 2 possibilities. A lot of times, people try to get, a bank will pay it, like a third-party check will come in.
oh, okay, gotcha.
But they're scared it doesn't get there by the 31st, so
They wrote their own check?
they wrote their own check, and then we get the actual check, and then we reimburse them. It's usually the majority of those, or sometimes it's a closing of a house.
Okay,
There's a timing issue there.
Yeah, there were a few of those, I noticed.
Yeah, most of them, it's people trying to get their checks in by the 31st. And a lot of times what happens, a bank will say, Lake Ridge Bank will send the money to another third party to write the check.
Oh.
So the person's thinking, well, it came on my bank on the 16th. Well, Lake Ridge sent the bank to the third party, and the third party doesn't send the checks till later on. So people have learned that, and so they kind of get nervous it's not going to be there by the 31st, so they'll come pay it and then
Understandably.
reimburse them.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to accept the bills?
motion to accept.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Neil, did you have any staff updates?
No updates, Mayor.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.